Hello friends! Welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather, and today we are going to do part 2 of my short story recommendations video. If you guys haven't seen part 1, I will have it up top and down below. Basically, what is happening right now is I already did a recommendation video for books that are between 200 to 299 pages, and today we are going to do recommendations that are less than 200 pages. I know maybe 300 pages doesn't seem like a super short book, but within those 200 to 299 pages in the other video, there are quite a few graphic novels, so they're still pretty quick to get through, so I would definitely check those ones out as well. And today we'll be doing that under 200 pages, and I've got 10 books for you guys. So this whole idea was actually inspired because in January I tried to read as many books as possible in 1 month, so you can check out that reading vlog up top or down below as well. So as I was reading through all of these short stories to try and read as many books as possible, I thought I should really condense this into some videos and talk about some short stories I've enjoyed over the past couple years. So I have 10 books for you guys under 200 pages. We're going to start with the one that has the most amount of pages and work our way down to the least amount of pages. Okay, so the first book on this list has 182 pages, and that is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This one may look like it's a little bit longer than that, but it does have an intro and different stuff to go with the collection, so that's why it looks a little bit longer, but the overall story is actually less than 200 pages. This is a classic horror novel about this group that goes to this supposedly haunted house, and they are going to stay there and investigate and see what is going on in this house and whether it's really haunted or if there's other explanations for what's going on. And I just really enjoyed it. Like, the atmosphere of this book, it gave me a lot of really creepy vibes. It is classic horror, so it's kind of like not super in your face. Like, it's like an underlying feel of creepiness, if that makes sense. But absolutely loved this horror novel, and I would recommend checking it out. Next up, we have the Wayward Children series. So I've read the first 5 books in this series. The 6th one just came out in January. I haven't quite gotten to it yet. But the first 4 books in the series are under 200 pages. And then the 5th book is 206 pages. So pretty close to being under 200 pages. This series basically follows these kids who, when they're young, find these doorways into other worlds, and oftentimes they want to be in those other worlds. They find a real connection with them, but for whatever reason they get kicked back to our world, and their parents then end up sending them to the Wayward school. And it's a lot of kids that are just trying to deal with being back in our world and just not feeling like they totally fit, and they want to find their doors back to their other worlds. And sometimes they do. And so some of the books are set more at the school, some of them are set in some of these other worlds, and they're just super fun and lyrical writing, magicalness. Like, it's just really cute. So I enjoy these really short story little fantasy series. You might check it out. Next, at 166 pages, we have The Deep by Rivers Solomon. How do I explain this book? This is one of those books that like has so many deeper meanings that it gets harder to explain. But the basic premise is we have these mermaids down in the deep, and one of them is the like memory keeper, and she holds all of their memories of their past. It's very traumatic, so it's hard for them to all have those memories within them, and so she holds on to them, and then once a year she shows them all of their memories and everything that has happened within their clan's past and how they came to be, and then she takes them back in for the year, and they do this every year. So then they whole society can kind of function without having to have all that pain, but at the same time, they still are a little bit grounded by somewhat remembering. They call it the rememberings, I believe it is. So we're following the main memory keeper, and she's really struggling to hold on to all of that pain, and kind of following her journey a little bit as she does her first remembering. No, I don't think it's her first. As she does a remembering after just really struggling all year with all of these memories. Okay, and then at 153 pages, we have To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. And this one is a fun sci-fi where we're basically following this crew who goes into space, and they're gonna go to a few different planets, and they're just going to observe and get information and send it back to Earth. And they have to go into like a cryonic sleep for like 30 years to get there, and then they'll be out there for, I think it was like 10 years, going to a few different planets, and they're sending information back, and Earth also is sending them some different news clips to keep them updated on what's going on in the world, because they've been away for a while. And so it's just very, like, Becky Chambers does a really good job of making you think through some of these things and how some of these different planets would be different and what would be on them because of different reasons. And she gives you some of the science behind that, but it's not like overwhelming with the science. So I found it very interesting, and I think she does a really good job of really like giving you a good atmosphere and a really good, like, it's very, I feel like it's very character driven, atmosphere driven. There's not like a huge plot to it, but there's a little bit. At 132 pages, we have 1922 by Stephen King. So here's another horror novel. I originally thought this book was about like a haunted house. You see the cover here, it's got like this creepy house happening, and I like haunted house stories, so that's why I wanted to read this. It is not about a haunted house, okay? There are a lot of rats involved in this one, and it is kind of gross. I will say that. I enjoyed this book. Stephen King has really good writing as well. I really enjoy his writing. He does get a little meandery sometimes in the middle of his stories, which I think still happened even though this one's kind of short. But the ending totally surprised me and threw me off, and I was like, what is happening? And there is a lot of like questioning our main narrator and his thoughts and motives, and if he's just crazy. And yeah, basically the story starts with this husband and wife and their son. They live on this farm. The husband and wife are no longer getting along, and they're having a huge disagreement over, she inherited some land, and they're having an argument over whether to sell it, whether to keep it, what to do with it, and they both want different things. Okay, I had to take a quick peek and make sure I wasn't going to give something away that wasn't given in the synopsis. So, we're basically following the father's story after he kills his wife, and that's kind of the setup to the story. Okay, so the next one is 112 pages, and it is An Empress of Salt and Fortune. This one is by Naivo, I think is how you pronounce it. We're basically following this story of this young woman who is sent to get married for political reasons. She's sent from like the north into the south to get married, and she just has her servants with her, and so it's many years later, and this handmaiden is telling the story of what really happened during this time with her. And it is beautifully written. It is very, like, it's not going to be for everybody. It is very metaphorical, and you really have to read between the lines and think about it. But yeah, it is wonderfully fantastical. It is feminist. It is, I don't know, I can't fully explain to you what this book is. It gets harder the smaller the books get too, because you don't want to give things away. But yeah, hopefully that gives you enough to kind of have an idea. if you would like this book or not. It is a pretty short book, so even if you hated it, you're not wasting too much time on it, right? But yeah, it is very well written. It is feminist. It is a little bit of fantasy about a royal going and getting married into a political alliance and how she kind of brings her own power into a world that she was just kind of thrust into. Next up, we have The Test by Sylvan Newell, and this one's 108 pages. And this one threw me for a loop as well. Basic premise is we're following this man as him and his family go into, he's going to be taking a citizenship test to get citizenship in England, I believe it is. So it's like I think it's 25 question test, and he's sitting down to take it, and you're getting some of the questions, but then some other stuff is going on behind the scenes that you're also getting. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because I don't want to tell you more. You just need to read the book, because then you're going to be like, what is actually happening right now? Like, that was literally my reaction as I was listening to the audiobook for this, was just like, wait, how did we go this direction? What is going on? What is happening? There's some twists and turns in there that I was not expecting at all. So yeah, this one's very interesting. I would pick it up. My synopsises are getting smaller as the books are getting smaller. So just giving you fair warning here. Now we're under 100 pages, 87 pages, Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This basically is letters back and forth between these two spouses, and their spouses are having an affair. And they are talking about what to do in their lives. I love how Taylor Jenkins Reid can really put a problem in your face and the way you think you would actually react. She's like, no, let's bring it back to reality. This is how you probably would actually react. And this is all the other consequences that go along with this, that, and the other. And she just really makes you think about things and just makes things so real, like it's actual real life. I don't understand how she makes her characters feel so real. These worlds seem so real. It's really a talent she has. Next up is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. This one's 67 pages. It's kind of like a thriller horror type book about this woman who goes to this house, and she's supposed to be helping rid it of some possible demonic nature or something. One of the kids is just I think he's a teen, but he's acting really weird and evil, and they think it's something with the house because they just moved into the house, and there's definitely some big plot twist at the end. And I was like, what? Actually, when I started reading this, it starts on kind of a different note, and I was like, am I reading the right book? So if you're feeling like that when you start reading this book, the first couple pages, you're like, I don't think I'm reading the right book. Is this a horror book? You are. It's just starts interestingly. All right, and the very shortest book on this list is The Egg by Andy Weir, and it is 3 pages. Yes, we could do 3 pages. I don't know if you guys want to count this as a book, but I counted it as a book. So I looked at the synopsis that was given on Goodreads, and I feel like it literally tells you the entire story of what happens, and so that kind of sucks. So I don't want to give that much away. This guy gets in this car crash, and then he wakes up in this other dimension, I guess you could say, and has a conversation with a man that is there, and you're following their conversation. And that's all I'm going to give you, because it's 3 pages, and I don't want to give you more than that. So yeah, those are my 10 books under 200 pages for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have, you want to subscribe, get down there and click that button for me. I also have my Goodreads and my Instagram down below. I have been being pretty good about updating my Instagram at least a few times a week, so I'm pretty active on there if you guys want to head on over that way. And for our emoji today, I am thinking that we should do a cat. I love cats. Let's do a cat. Okay guys, I will talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys are having a fantastic reading day, and bye!